This week you're here to joining us to talk about Skate, which you got a chance to play a preview of. What's going on with Skate?
Yeah, so it is, for those that aren't aware, it's Skate 4. They rebranded it to Skate. It is a live service, but it's not like that's not like a bad thing about it. Okay, I played about 5, maybe 6 hours of the game, and my preview should be up right now on IGN. And I left really, really, really happy and like super, super, super like looking forward to playing the game again. It is everything that I loved from Skate 2 and Skate 3. I didn't really play too much of Skate 1 just because that was like on the PS3 and 360. I didn't have that at the time. But it like, I don't know, it's fun to play like a sandbox game where you kind of can just mess around and have fun, which is kind of the whole point of the original Skate games. Mm-hmm. And it's just a blast.
Yeah, I was watching some of the early access gameplay for this, and it looks really, really fun. Like, in a very kind of just simple, like chill kind of screw around and just enjoy yourself kind of way. I guess where does the challenge lie? Like, do they have, hardcore mode? Is there, are there objectives you're going for? Cause like we're going to talk about Tony Hawk in a minute. But like I jumped into that and I was like, oh, I like to skateboard in video games, and immediately proceeded to just suck terribly at it. And like the idea of Skate being kind of just like a fun, mess around, chill experience is really appealing. But I know that obviously some people want, more of a challenge to it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's objectives all over the map. It seems like there was kind of a story mode going with like big tech and stuff. Kind of a side note, the game early on explains why you can fall from the top of a skyscraper and not die. They just write it off as technology. So it's a really goofy and weird game, but there's objectives everywhere. There's like certain lines you can do. You can run into other people. And it's funny. I found myself in the demo. There was like 8 of us playing kind of, local co-op. They claim that there can be 150 people on the map at one time. But while you're doing like your typical, open world, oh, there's a mission marker, go do that or whatever, you just kind of run into someone doing something and you say, oh, I'm going to try to clear that gap or whatever. And it just, to me, it seems like it's the perfect kind of just like turn your brain off and just mess around sort of game, which I don't know if you'd like any of you played the original Skate, like the original 3 games. That's kind of what I did mostly. It was like not really objectives, but just more of like, oh, here's an open world. I can just kind of screw around for an hour and have fun. Yeah, it's less structured than Tony Hawk, but I kind of like that because I went back to playing Tony Hawk yesterday and found myself getting really annoyed at, I have 2 minutes to do stuff and I can't get off the skateboard. A big thing they added now is that you can always get off your skateboard, but now you can climb buildings, and it's very like,
how does that work?
Yeah, it's kind of like Assassin's Creed in that you're like, okay, I can't just like flow up a building, but also mixed with Spider-Man, where my person's just like bouncing around. So right when I started the demo, I went up a giant skyscraper and completely ignored my mission objectives, and then just kept jumping from the skyscraper trying to land into a bowl that was in the ground. And then I found out that you could kind of like glide around and roll around.
What?
Yeah, and you were getting points for doing like big dives and just hitting the ground. So there is a part of like a meta game in Skate where it's just falling to the ground as hard as you can and being ridiculous.
That sounds super fun. Like the stuff I was watching, like I played a bit of 3 ages ago, and like I dug that it was kind of more chill, more kind of easygoing than you get with something like Tony Hawk. I feel like more of a, I don't know, like there's the like skateboarding can be a sport, but it can also just be like a thing you do with your dumb friends behind, the supermarket or whatever. And like, it feels like Skate is kind of more the latter, which I'm into, that's rad. And the fact that they're kind of like being like, yeah, realistic physics are great, but what if they're also unrealistic? That sounds rad as hell. Like, it kind of reminds me of, like I could see myself playing this and not so much trying to stick the landing for tricks, but just trying to cause as much bodily harm to my dude as humanly possible, or inhumanly possible, as is the case in an impossible, technological physics sandbox. Are there any like silly modes that you were messing with at all?
Nothing. They kind of just did like hey, just go into the open world. There was a mission where it was trying to jump from the top of a skyscraper and like fly in between a bridge, and then you just fall and crash. But as far as like super silly stuff, there's some silly costumes, everything in there. I can't talk too much about that. But the whole game is just really goofy. I didn't see any like too many NPCs in there, so I'm hoping that they add more kind of that like almost that Tony Hawk where it's just like really weird. The world is stranger than what's going on.
Yeah, I saw some clips of people dressed like the Grim Reaper, which is, kind of like Doomslayer adjacent. I don't know. I like when people skateboard in costumes. It's entertaining. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This seems like, I know that people are kind of balking at the whole idea of a live service thing, but I can see it working as a social space. Like there's that type of game where you're just hanging out with your friends, and like, a lot of times people make that of whatever game it is they're playing, but it's kind of cool to just have like, this feels like a good place to hang out. Like you're not going to be like messing around with your friends and then suddenly you're going to get like, like sniped by some other squad. Like it's just skating. You're just,
Yeah, it felt more like that kind of like Minecraft, Roblox, where you're just kind of going in and hanging out and just messing around instead of like Destiny or something where it's like we're trying to do dailies or we're trying to get this objective or whatever. It's more of just kind of goofing around. You can also drop items like in the world, like so you can just drop a quarter pipe if you wanted to. So you could go and mess with people that way. They're saying there's going to be 150 people on the map. I played with 8 and it felt like, okay, there's a lot going on here. I think the coolest thing was I didn't realize that we were all connected. And then I was skating down this hill and I saw someone else skating and was like, oh, I'll follow them. I think that's an NPC. And it was just another person. You can also teleport to people, which is really cool. So if someone is somewhere cool, you don't have to be like, go get there. Like just blink to them immediately and start skating. And
this sounds like Forza Horizon. Am I?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm super into that. That's Skateboards of Horizon. That sounds awesome. I want to do this.
Skateboards of Horizon. There you go. That's the new title. Instead of Skate period, Skate 4.
Did you get a sense of any of the microtransactions and stuff or how it's being monetized? Because I know they did like an early access thing and people were like, there's 5 different currencies or something like that. It's always sticky with that stuff.
Yeah, I was told that everything you can earn in game and it's all cosmetic. It's obvious, like, there's Vans, like all these other brands are in there and stuff. So it feels like it's going to be like Fortnite, where it's like, I don't have to buy this stuff, but if I want to, sure. But you can also earn a lot of stuff. Like I was earning a bunch of skateboard decks, everything else. So it's not just like, one of those like mobile games where I have to buy anything to get anything cool. So
yeah, I don't know. That seems rad. Like this feels like it has a very, it can be played very casually and it's free to play. So it's nice to kind of be able to pop into it and be like, okay, cool. And not feel obligated to get $70 worth of enjoyment out of it if you're not really feeling it, It
also loads incredibly fast, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but for a game like this, if I fell, I can just hit the up on the D-pad and I immediately blink back to where I like left a marker and could just keep doing the same thing again. And that made the game more fun because, the trial and error phase is like it never got frustrated. I was trying some really stupid stuff that I clearly don't think the game wanted me to do, like trying to jump from the top of a building and dive into another building. So
Jada, does this do anything for you? Like, I know you play basically everything. I don't think have we talked about skateboarding stuff?
I mean, I play a lot of Tony Hawk, and I've played, most of the Tony Hawks throughout the years. I played a little bit of Skate 1 and 2. I kind of fell off when Skate 3 just because I felt like I was doing the same thing over and over again. And obviously, Skate 3 is great. I'm not going to take that away from people who love it. But I just kind of fell out of the genre at that point. This looks cool. It definitely... I've been having a little bit of audio issues, so, bear with me, audience, if I'm asking a question that, Nick's already gone over, but is it still retaining that kind of simulation vibe that Skate was kind of known for, where it was, Tony Hawk was always meant to be very arcadey, and Skate was if you wanted to play something more realistic with that simulation, like actual skating. It's still retaining that vibe for you, Nick?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's obviously very arcadey and goofy. And as you can see in the B-roll, you're doing stuff that shouldn't be possible. I say that as someone just says a board. So there you go. Someone's going down this impossible thing. But it's definitely, I played Tony Hawk right as I got home from the preview, just to be like, how different does this feel? And it's not as like Tony Hawk, you were zipping around and flying around and, jumping impossible distances. And Skate, even though you can do like silly stuff. It's very grounded in that if you are going up to a curb and you miss the curb, you will bail. Or you just won't like board slide as well as you thought you would. So you're not, but at the same time, you can still do a quadruple kickflip in the air, which is ridiculous. So it's somewhere between like realistic and that Tony Hawk goofy, but I think it's in like a better space and that it's everything feels like weightier and tighter.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Is there collision with other players? So if you like both try to hit a rail at the same time, will you collide and just fall off each other? I imagine yes.
I never managed to hit anybody else. That's a good thing. I really wish I had tried that one. I can imagine maybe no, just because if they're going to put 150 plus people on one map, that might just be chaotic.
That just turns into like Fall Guys at that point.
Yeah.
Which it would be. Maybe that's a mode. I don't know. That sounds actually kind of interesting, but yeah. So you can just walk around?
Yeah. Yeah. You can just get off your skateboard, which is going back to Tony Hawk was so frustrating when it's like, oh, I got to do this very specific thing in a corner. And then in Skate, I could just hit a button, get off the skateboard. My guy half the time threw the skateboard in the air and it would like Spider-Man come back to me when I jump back on. But it's actually really nice to be able to get off a skateboard in a skateboarding game, as weird as that sounds. Mm-hmm. And this, they just made it. Apparently climbing is new in this one. And the devs were like, we don't know if people will like it, but people really like it and I loved it because I could just say, I want to go up that building. And I just start zipping up there. You don't get tired or anything, which is cool. Like it feels like Zelda where you can climb anything, but you don't get exhausted. So you just kind of.
I don't need to take a break and cook a stew and eat some apples.
None of that.
This is rad. Were there any like collectibles or any like I guess what are the little activities aside from just getting good at skateboarding?
There were a lot of little challenges kind of littered across the map, and you just go up to them and it's like, do this trick over this gap or follow this line and get this many points. And then there is like a level progression system that whenever I leveled up, that's when I was earning like new emotes and skateboards and clothes and stuff. So I didn't see any like floating, skateboard in the air or like tapes or anything like that, but it's still alpha. So that stuff could pop up. I kind of hope so. Cause I feel like there needs to be, that's one thing like with this game, I feel like the map was missing something. And I think it was either NPCs doing weird stuff or just like that kind of, this item is really hard to get. So I'm going to go mess around and try to get that for an hour. And I think it needs that.
It would be great. What Spider-Man 2 did with all its random NPCs that would have just 10-minute conversations if you hung around them. This Skate could benefit from that. Just random NPC conversations that go on forever.
So you just want this to be The Sims?
I think it's rad that this is finally happening. I hope it comes out and no pun intended, sticks the landing. But I don't know. People love to dunk on EA. They were voted the worst company of all time 5 years in a row or whatever it was. And they continue making games. And sometimes the games are pretty good. I mean, they make a lot of games I don't particularly care for. They make sports stuff. But it seems like these days they just kind of don't really make as much, which is a drag. I don't know. It was you look back 2007 and they were putting out Mirror's Edge and Army of Two, and we'd get a Battlefield every year, and now it's been 2 or something years since the last Battlefield, and there's presumably one in the works, which they're being, I don't know, it's interesting between this Skate and Battlefield. They're being weirdly transparent about how this thing is coming together, which is I guess good. I think we'll get a new Sims game at some point. We don't really know what's going on with that, but it's just bizarre for such a massive massive publisher to be kind of just radio silent.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, they like you said, outside of sports, they've been really beefing up their sports. They started doing the F1 series a couple of years ago, and that's been going. They've been pumping those out regularly. I mean, we got Split Fiction earlier this year. That's
right. Yeah,
that was a big one. Dragon Age was last year. That was EA. And we got
10 years in the making.
10
restarted 3 times or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and then I think before that, the last big one that I can remember is Star Wars Jedi Survivor was kind of their big one.
Yeah.
So yeah, they definitely have slowed down the pacing, which obviously, we've talked about this to death on the show. Games are harder to make and take longer and longer to make nowadays just because they're trying to cram as many pixels and activities and everything they can into the game, which just extends development time.
Well, some people are like, this skateboarding game needs more NPCs to talk to. We should be able to have a short conversation with complete strangers. What could go wrong?
Full dialogue trees with the skateboarding NPCs.
Oh, I don't want to talk to them. I just want to listen. I just want 2 NPCs there just talking about, what was it in Spider-Man? One of them was about like putting petroleum on a baby or something like that. And somebody thought they were talking about gasoline, but it was actually, they were talking about petroleum jelly. There's a whole I think it's like a 6-minute conversation in Spider-Man 2 if you find the NPC that does it.
I love good NPC chatter.
Yeah.
Do you ever just catch yourself kind of eavesdropping on strangers in passing and being like, that could work in a game? Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
I love that. I was passing this like random cafe restaurant, something. These 2 like huge construction workers came out, and like one of them's like, did you get a look at the soups in there? And the other one's like, yeah, they smelled amazing. And I was just like, what is this? These dudes just talk about soups?
I had a great NPC interaction the other day when I was going to Albertsons. This Albertsons has it's like a problem in my town where it has a Pokemon vending machine that there's always fights and stuff at, which is insane. But I was walking in and there was a guy going up to another guy in a truck, and these guys probably late 30s, early 40s. And this dude had a stack of Pokemon card packs with him. And he goes up to the guy. The guy rolls down his window. He goes, nah, bro, I can't keep doing this, man. I can't keep doing this. And he goes, $10 a pack. Just like bulldozes over what he's saying. He goes, I can't keep doing this. He goes, fine, $8. And then the guy in the car goes, okay. And then I look over and I see the dude that's selling the man in the car Pokemon cards looks over and like gives a thumbs up to his girlfriend in another car. And I was like, I got to get out of this Albertsons parking lot right now.
All right.
It was just, and they were so loud about it too. Just like, I can't keep doing this, man. I'm like, you're buying Pokemon cards.
That's really weird.
Yep.
Hey, I mean, we've talked about how video games don't have those like crazy midnight launches as much anymore. I've like gone by multiple Best Buys and GameStops over the last like couple months for the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy sets. And while those haven't had huge lines, Pokemon cards, like people lining up for like an hour to 2 hours beforehand. And I'm like, they're like, what are you trying to get? You trying to get the new Prismatic set? I'm like, nope, I'm just here hoping they have a gift bundle for Final Fantasy. And like thankfully they had one. And I was the only person in line for that. So, times I appreciate not being part of the main herd. It's like, I didn't have to fight for what I wanted. So
that's fun. So speaking of weird NPC behavior, I do want to talk a little bit about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, the remake there. Specifically, just like little details and changes. I know there was some people got mad that they changed some stuff. They had the guy who goes pee in the Canada level is not there anymore, and the devs are like, we're working on it. Or like, I guess he's like in there, but he's not peeing. He's like dehydrated or something. So you have to. It's like an entirely different situation. But there was this new thing that popped up the other day. People noticed that in the new Carnival level, there's a garbage can that has what is very clearly a Guitar Hero styled box for Banjo Hero. And people pointed this out, and the developers
Hey, thanks for watching this clip from Beyond, IGN's weekly PlayStation show. You can find the full episode over on youtube.com/IGN Games. And don't forget, new episodes of Beyond drop every Wednesday on IGN.com, the IGN Games YouTube, and all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks again for watching, and as always, Beyond.
Thank you.